Hi, Whitney. Thank you so much for coming on the Power Women Wellness podcast. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yes, I'm excited to be on vacay with you. I know you're in Arizona
Oh,
right now.
a little bit of work vacay. I build some cushion time because I love this Scottsdale area so much. So I'm here partially for a conference. So later in the week, but earlier in the week, get to catch up with friends, do a little shopping. Not mad
Love
at it.
that. I love it. Awesome. So we'll kick it off. Tell us a little bit about what you do and what brought you into the industry that you're in.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I own a public relations agency. It's called Sociallee. We're based out of Destin, Florida. And really what we do best is PR and social media. Before I started the agency, I was the director of marketing at a big Hilton property there on the beach, the Hilton Sandestin. And I just honestly couldn't sit in that room with no windows by the rest, for the rest of my life. I love my friends at the Hilton, but I got very little ability to be creative in that role. And so, this was when Facebook, God, this sounds like it's forever ago. This was 2012 or 2013. This is when Facebook was really just becoming, like, the like page was just becoming a thing in the
Yes.
last year or two. And so people around town in Destin were asking me my advice on, like, hey, I need one of those like pages. How do I do this? So I became like the Facebook girl, which is pretty hilarious. But so I just started, I finally took the leap and went out and started doing consulting work. And I guess I officially launched the agency on my own in 2015.
Okay.
And now we represent businesses all over the nation. We have businesses out here in Scottsdale. We have Miami. We still have a lot in the Northwest Florida area. But gosh, we've had Philly, New Jersey. We've got somebody in Houston right now. So we've got a good mixture, but really what we do is public relations and social media. We
Nice.
also do some email marketing and content writing for blogs, but really what people come to us for is PR and social media. So we're a team of
Awesome.
6, all women. Uh,
Nice.
yeah,
Power women.
heck yeah. So I would say the most of our clients are in the hospitality industry, just from my connections in the hotel world. But I went to school for communications. So I'm actually one of those weirdos that used the degree that I got.
Me too. Don't worry, I'm right there with you. I think it's so funny. I thought of it when you said it was, oh, it seems so long ago when Facebook, like 2012. And I just saw a meme on social the other day, and it was basically saying like, I'm at that age where someone says like 30 years ago, I think of 1970s. And then it's just like reality of like 30 years ago is actually like 1990s. And it's just, I was cracking up because I'm like, it's so true. Like, I don't like when someone says 20 years ago, I don't think 2000s, I think the 80s. And it's just, oh, life is just going by so quickly. And I'm like, holy crap.
It really is.
I'm like, 2012? No, that's not long ago. That was a couple years ago. I'm like, no, that's like 10 years ago.
It feels like 5 minutes ago, but it really, gosh, so much has happened, obviously, between now and then.
Yeah, for sure. But I love that you're in PR. It's such a needed thing. Just I know what can go into it, and it's a lot. And honestly, a job in and of itself. So it's nice that the entrepreneurs and founders have access to businesses like yours, who need that. So I would love for you to share a little bit about any health journey that you had. And it doesn't have to be any like major diagnoses, but things that you struggled with and overcome, or even things that you still might be struggling with, just to connect our audience with just your story. And then obviously we'll talk more about like your habits and routines, but we kind of love to hear it because I love normalizing that we all, no matter who we are, no matter how healthy we eat, we tend to have something that, we struggle with.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. This is, it's been a long time. So backstory, I was born and raised in Mississippi, in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And for anyone who doesn't know, Mississippi is statistically the most obese state in the nation. Okay, not only is the US the most obese nation in the world, then Mississippi is the most overweight and obese sector of our nation. So it's like we are the heaviest of the heavy. I like to cook. I like to eat. I like it all. I also like wine. I like beer. I like margaritas. But growing up, both my parents were college athletes. And I also loved playing sports as well. But I was a gymnast as a child, and I was so fit. And when I got out of that, probably at age like 13 or 14, immediately like gained a significant amount of weight. I would say like 30 pounds, but I also started my period because I was like 13.
Yep.
I grew like 6 inches overnight because both my parents are really tall. So like a lot happened in that era. And I definitely was overweight for pretty much all of junior high and high school. And my senior year of high school, I was really active in basketball, softball, soccer, several different sports. And my dad was like, hey, listen, like if you really want to play a college sport, like your weight is holding you back. And so to give anybody context, I'm like 5'8", and at the time I probably weighed like 190 pounds. Like I was definitely overweight. And most people would be like, I never realized you weighed that much. And also like, I mean, I am very like athletically built. So it was very like evenly proportioned, but I knew he was right. And even though that was really hard hearing that, I'm really, really grateful to my dad for like not letting me let that hold me back. So my senior year, I lost 35 pounds. It is the senior year of high school. Hardest thing I've ever done in my life, because again, I love to cook, I love to eat, and also just like food is a part of our world, especially in the South, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so I did it. I lost 35 pounds. I did it. Honestly, my mom taught me how to do Weight Watchers. I never went to a meeting or anything like that, but we had those little points calculators.
Yes.
Oh
my
and she taught
gosh.
me how to do Weight Watchers. And so I did it. I lost 35 pounds. I got an offer to play soccer at Mississippi College. So I went away and did that for just 1 year, and decided to come back home and go to Southern Miss, University of Southern Mississippi, which is in my hometown in Hattiesburg. And throughout my 20s, like college and 20s, I gained it back and lost it again 2 more times.
Oh my gosh. So like roller coaster.
Emotional roller coaster. And 35 pounds doesn't sound like a whole lot, but that's going from 190 pounds to 160 pounds is a significant change. Even though what's funny is, and the women out there will appreciate this, it was only like one size in clothing. Isn't that weird?
Honestly, like weight in itself, it's still mind-blowing to me. And one thing I love seeing on social is like the women that are like, I'm 130 here and I'm 160, and actually they just gained a lot of muscle, so they even look better at 160. And I'm like, it just goes to show you that like weight is it's such a crazy number, and it's not really a great measurement of like where you're at with your health. But I mean, that's still a lot of weight technically that you lost. Especially just being, I don't know, it's such a pivotal time in your life of like high school and college and all the emotions that come with that. Now put on top of that, like just like a weight and emotional roller coaster. It's a lot.
Yeah. And, I am fully okay with admitting that like some of it got too, I wouldn't call it full blown toxic. But I'm like a very rigid person in general. When I realize something is bad for me, like I cut it off. Like I'm pretty cold turkey. I cut it off. If I realize something I'm eating or drinking is bad for me, cut it off. If I realize a person in my life is bad for me, cut it off. Like I'm pretty aggressive with it. I'm okay with admitting it.
I mean, that's a good trait. I know it can get intense, but that's a good trait to have, because I would rather it be that than be on the other side where you just kind of are stepped over, like everyone's stepping over you. You don't really have that like backbone. You struggle to say no or to cut people out of your life when you know you should. So like, hey, that's not always so bad to have.
I'm the opposite. So I'm a Leo. So very headstrong, fire sign Leo. I'm such a zodiac nerd. But I am a Leo to a T. Also, for anybody out there that is an Enneagram person, I'm an Enneagram 1, which is the perfectionist.
A 1. Okay. I'm an 8.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm the challenger.
Oh, yes. Okay. You know what? I tested highest as a challenger. 8 was my first score, 3 was my second, and then 1 was the third, off the like internet test. But I went to my girl Tracy O'Malley, if anyone doesn't know Tracy out there, oh my, she's a genius with the Enneagram. She does like high level coaching, especially for like corporate companies. But she also does families and stuff. So Tracy actually did a live typing session with me on her podcast. And she was like, no, girl, you are a one through and through. Because ones are all, our deepest fear is like being bad or out of integrity.
Okay.
So for me, like, you know, you can say whatever you want about me. You can say I'm dumb. You can say I suck at PR. You can say I'm fat. You can say I'm ugly. You can say whatever you want, whatever. But if you said Whitney's a terrible person, like you can't trust her. You better watch out. Whitney will screw you over. Whitney will lie to you, or, you know, don't work with Whitney because, you know, like she'll just take your money. Like if somebody said
Oh man,
that is
that hits.
in the heart.
That hits. I wonder if I'm like what is it, a wing 8 or whatever, because that definitely, anyone that insults like my integrity, and most of the time, and it has happened before, it's people that really don't know me. But it just hurts, man. And actually being an Enneagram 8, my biggest fear is control. So like I can't stand to think that I would ever be controlled. My husband's like, it's just the worst. Not that he tries to control, but he's just like, you're so independent, because that is such a fear that like it's just hard to kind of give up control sometimes. I'm like,
Type A women, all here we are, type A. But I saw that with my weight, you know, like
yeah,
it became like a control thing. And I also like was that, you know, when you're in like high school and college, this is like dating scene and
yep.
I was in a sorority and party scene and all this. And I knew that when I was thin, I got lots of attention from men. And honestly, like what single white female doesn't love that? All these boys chasing after you, calling you, texting you, asking you out. When I was thin, I got lots of attention from men.
And that just like subconsciously says like this is the right thing when it's not. Oh, that's
and you know, at that hindsight is 2020, you know, 22-year-old Whitney didn't realize subconsciously what's going on. And so I just equated that when I'm thin, I am happier. Happier for a lot of reasons. I look cuter in my clothes. You know, like all these guys are trying to holler at me. I did feel better. I mean, we all feel better when we're, you know, like being our best self and eating well and everything. But I don't really think I was eating that well, you know, like I definitely,
you knew what you knew.
Yeah, I would eat like lean cuisines, and I mean, come on, look at what's in those things.
I used to too, don't worry. I used to eat like Little Debbie cosmic brownies my mom would buy me. So I mean, I'm right there with you.
But I thought I was being healthy because I'm eating a lean cuisine. And so like literally I would eat like a bowl of Special K in the morning, like a light sandwich, you know, with the Sociallee Delight bread for lunch, and then for dinner, like a lean cuisine. And if you add all that up, that's probably not even 1,000 calories.
Like all processed.
All processed and all carbs.
Yeah.
So along the way, you know, I pretty much stuck with every time I would lose the weight, I would kind of go in that Weight Watchers calorie counting mindset. And it really honestly wasn't until, you know, and I'll say this, all throughout this weight loss, I never ever went under 160 pounds, ever. And for my height, you know, we read all these charts and stuff that tell us how much we should weigh. They're garbage. For my height, a chart says I should weigh 130 pounds. Okay, maybe we need to put a picture of me when you do this podcast, because like I can't weigh 100. I can't get under 160 pounds.
I mean, I'm with you. I think the most charts are just BS, and especially BMI. I have no idea why we're still doing BMI. I think I'm technically at an unhealthy BMI right now, because I have a lot of muscle on me. I used to be like super, super thin. And so I just love strength training, and I got really hard at it. And now I have a butt, which I'm so proud of because it's full on built. But as I've like grown muscle, I've gone up in weight. And so I think I'm at a technically an unhealthy BMI. So I'm with you. Like they are so BS. I think it's not an accurate picture of health. And I cannot picture you as 130. I mean, you would have to have no muscle.
No, exactly. And I've got some thick thighs, like the whole gymnastic thighs, like And also my mom is not a thin, I mean, my mom is thinner than me. My mom's like 5'9" or 5'10".
Wow.
And she's, you know, in the same, I mean, now she's like 65 years old, so we're talking different. But when she was my age, she was a little bit thinner than me, but still like, I mean, she played basketball in college. Like she definitely was
Yeah.
a toothpick. And her
Yeah.
mom wasn't either. My dad's mom wasn't either. It's not in my DNA to be a toothpick.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that, you
I'm
know?
I'm with you. I think we're all so unique, and like no body shape will ever be the same. I think that's what makes us all like super cool, is because we all won't look the same. So there's nothing we should be able to compare ourselves to. Do you feel like you've kind of overcome the rigidness of diet, or do you still kind of go off and on struggling with it?
Mm, it's all in my mind, honestly. Like even coming out here on this trip this week, like I'm away from my gym, and that makes me anxious that I can't work out. So like I was researching like gyms to go to out here, and I'm like, when are you going to go? Like I have meetings all day, and during the conference starts at 7 a.m. and you know like it goes until like 7 p.m. every night. Like it's okay, Whitney, to take 1 week and be at a work conference.
Yeah.
You're not going to gain 20 pounds, but I do like find myself mentally like getting really dramatic of like, oh my gosh, so you're gonna be eating out basically all the time, and you're not working out. Like you're, oh my god, this whole week you're never like, it's gonna take you forever to come back from this. You were doing so good. Like these are the things that go on in my head sometimes.
But
Um,
it's so good to normalize it. So I'm glad that you say it, because no matter who you are, I know I'm the same way. Well, I love food too, and I love trying like farm to table and local options. So if we go to a travel to somewhere that doesn't really have that, I'm just like, well, this is gonna suck, because I'm gonna come back really bloated, and just, I mean, it's whatever. It's not gonna like make or break a trip, but do I like to travel somewhere where I have all the options and still feel really good and still stay on track? Because I, Enneagram 8, love my routines. Like same thing, like working out, my food, like just everything about, even outside of that, is just, I love routine. So when I get out of it, like this better be the best trip in the whole world, because
yeah,
you're making me leave my routine.
dramatic in my head. But I will say this: I think what has really changed for me over the past, probably say this happened like 3 years ago, 2 years ago, maybe. It's really hasn't been long. I started, you know, I used to like hit the cardio all the time. Like I'd get on a treadmill. I freaking hate to run, y'all. I freaking hate to run. Okay. I'd get on a treadmill and put it on a 10 on the incline and do sprints, 1 minute on and 1 minute off. I hate doing that. You know, like I'd go to, and do all this cardio because I thought that was the way to get thin.
Yeah.
Even though I have done strength training my whole life for sports and that kind of thing. And so finally, about 3 or 4, actually about 5 years ago, I joined a hybrid gym. I mean, honestly, most people think it's a CrossFit gym. You know, it's a HIIT gym, you know,
Okay.
where you're coming in and you're doing, you know, everything from like weightlifting to burpees to chin ups to, you know, mountain climbers. It's just like every day is different. But most people would look at our gym and be like, okay, cool, it's CrossFit. So it's in that realm. And I started going to the CrossFit gym, and I just thought to myself, like, I'm totally going to gain all this weight because like I'm not doing enough cardio, you know, even a few burpees here and there, like that's not enough cardio. And
Yeah.
I didn't gain any weight. Magic. And I met some of these other girls in the gym who actually like really do like really focus on nutrition. So I started working with the owner's wife and just picking her brain about what does she eat and how does she measure it. And she was teaching me about macros. And I've heard of macros. I just like never really got into it, or I didn't really know how to. Um, and so when she actually like did my macros for me, she asked me to measure what I like, write down what I was eating in a week and bring it to her. And when I brought it to her, she was like, Whitney, I know why you're not losing any weight. I know why you're not gaining any muscle. Like you are literally starving yourself.
Yeah.
And I was eating like 1,400 calories a day
Girl,
because
girl.
I know.
I'm with you. You are so not alone though. Just FYI, this is 99% of women we see. And I don't think a lot of women, I mean, maybe it sounds like you are like eating as you are hungry and all that. So it's not, we see not a lot of women that are trying like, oh my God, I want to lose weight. I can only eat this. Like they just are so used to eating so little that when they are exposed to like, no, you actually need to be eating this based on your exercise and goals, they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, that's why you're not losing weight, because your body's like in survival mode.
And I told you I was like, literally eating, which I kind of let go of the lean cuisines after college. But what I didn't realize is like I was staying under, because everybody talks about a 2,000 calorie diet, right?
Yeah.
Another random standard that like, where the hell did that come from? But
No
I was
idea.
staying under 2,000 calories a day. I was under my Weight Watchers points for the day, but everything I was eating was processed and everything I was eating was carbs. I felt like dirt and my stomach was giving me hell all the time. I was getting sick. Like and I thought it was dairy for the longest time. Like I would eat something and I'm sorry, everybody listening, TMI, within 30 minutes in a bathroom.
Oh,
Like not vomiting. Okay. 30 minutes in a bathroom, like within 30 minutes, my stomach would make the craziest, loudest sound and my body literally would reject everything in my stomach. And then I wouldn't hurt at all afterwards. I'd be like, okay, I feel better now. Like,
oh my gosh.
it's over. And I didn't do anything about it for the longest time. But when I got into macros, she was like, Whitney, you literally need to eat almost triple what you're eating right now. Like you are legitimately starving yourself and you are overloading your body on carbs and you're eating like basically no protein, even though I like meat. I'm not against meat.
Yeah.
And so she totally flipped my way of thinking. And she's like, I know it's going to be scary, but your macros numbers are not think of it, it's not your limit. It is your goal. I'm not telling you to stay under. So the number she gave me was 165 grams of protein, 150 grams of carbs, and I think 52 fats.
Nice.
This is not your limit. Like, you're trying to stay under those numbers. I want you to get to those numbers. Like you need to eat up to those numbers every day. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get fat. I'm going to be huge. I'm going to be disgusting. And you know what happened?
The opposite.
The opposite. I didn't gain any weight. I'm still, I think right now I'm like 163 pounds. I didn't gain any weight. And actually my muscles became like super, super defined.
Nice.
And in fact, I was at a work conference at the beginning of August and I had a woman who came up to me because I had like a sleeveless shirt on and I had gotten on stage, like for some kind of like board recognition. And after that event was over, she came up to me and she's like, I want to be you when I grow up. And I was like, what? And she's like, your arms are so ripped.
I love that.
I like literally almost cried. I was like, oh my God, thank you. Hey, just some random lady I didn't even know,
That's so awesome. So share with us, like, what do you eat in a day now? Like, what's your typical like breakfast, lunch, dinner? I know there's obviously some variation, but like, what are your go-tos for those meals?
Yeah. Okay. So, if you just heard my macros, 165 grams of protein, that is really freaking hard to reach that every day.
Yeah.
You better work. You better eat protein at every meal. So in the morning, I eat a very protein heavy breakfast. I get a little muffin pan and I put like some veggies like peppers and onions down in the pan and even like a little bit of crumbled bacon and cottage cheese. And I pour the little egg white carton over it and make like little egg white muffins.
Nice.
And then I keep them in the fridge and I heat up one a day. I also love like turkey sausage. I love Greek yogurt. I'm a Greek yogurt junkie. So I love Greek yogurt. And I'll get like some all natural gluten-free granola and all that kind of stuff. I love hard-boiled eggs. I love eggs in general, if you haven't noticed the theme.
Me too.
But that's my usual breakfast. Like I kind of like my, like you said, like routines, like usually what I eat for breakfast. And then lunch, I work from home, which does make life so much easier. But gosh, sometimes I'll make like a Greek yogurt bowl with like some fruit in it and some granola on top. Or I will eat, sometimes I eat leftovers of what I've made for dinner earlier that week. I get these little egg white wraps from Sam's or Whole Foods, the Egg Life wraps.
Sure.
Oh my gosh, they're so awesome. They're little, they look like tortilla wraps, but they're made out of egg whites. Or I get the Be Free brand. Have you ever heard of them? Be Free.
Yes.
I get it at Publix. But they have a sweet potato wrap that's really, really good. I make like turkey with alfalfa sprouts. Gosh, I eat a lot of cottage cheese. I love cottage cheese. I'll make a protein shake, like some PB Fit protein shake. Really any of that. And then dinner is kind of where I have fun with it, because at night I'll go to the gym and then come back, and I'm always just like I find stuff on Pinterest to make. The biggest thing is like what I love about macros is that like nothing is restricted.
Yeah.
If it's I know people doing macros, they eat a little bag of Doritos, and you're like,
Yeah.
Doritos, that's not healthy, but in moderation, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if that's your jam, if you really love Doritos, it's okay to have a fun size bag of Doritos if it fits your macros, you know? So I make ground turkey spaghetti.
Nice.
I make, I do a lot of Mexican. So I'll do like fajitas with peppers and onions and all that, rice and beans. I love salad. I'm really just a salad junkie. So I make these like monster spinach salads with like chickpeas in them and that kind of thing. We'll do a burger night. We'll do a burger night with sweet potato fries. Gosh, I make ground turkey. Ground turkey is life. Okay. I make ground turkey meatloaf, and then I make cauliflower mash, or sometimes like my boyfriend's like, please give me regular mashed potatoes.
Oh, I love regular mashed.
Yeah, I like cauliflower and regular. So like I'll do that. But fortunately, I actually enjoy vegetables. I enjoy healthy food. Don't get it twisted. I love junk food too. If like I love pizza, I love Chinese food, I love chicken wings. I love, I love sushi, which sushi really isn't all that bad for you, but you
Yeah.
just,
The
again,
quality. Yeah. The quality matters with sushi.
the news is in Destin, Florida, like the world's luckiest fishing village. We have lots of amazing fresh sushi. So
That's awesome.
yeah. And then even, for if I haven't reached my protein goal for the day, I'll drink like one of those little Fairlife protein shakes.
Okay.
So yeah. And honestly, like every day is so different, but like that's why I like macros is you can really, it's like a puzzle, or it's kind of like a budget, if you have $100 a day to spend, you could spend $99 on breakfast and then only have $1 left for the whole day and kind of like spread it thin. Or you could spend $30 at breakfast, $30 at lunch, $30 at dinner, and have a few bucks left over for a little dessert, like.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I love macros is like, it doesn't feel like a diet. It just feels like a guideline, know? Or actually, it feels like a goal instead of like this punishment. It feels like a goal I'm trying to reach instead of like, you can't go over this.
Yeah,
so,
for sure. I think it depends on like your goals and stuff too, but especially women who want like a toned body and they're working out. I ebb and flow in and out of it. But I think it's a great marker to just keep track of. So, you're getting the most out of your workouts, because workouts are great, but it's really the rebuilding and all the like everything in between your workouts, which is where food comes in, which is why they say like abs are made in the kitchen. But it's really important to make sure that you're getting the most out of it, because so many women are like you, they're working out a lot, even 7 times a week, and they're not seeing results, but they're just not doing that like nutrition work in between.
Yeah, I think 90% of women that are struggling with their weight right now, that may look They look thin, but they're not happy, is
Yeah.
they're under eating and they're just slamming cardio all day, all night.
Yeah,
And
for
they're
sure.
terrified to change up, just like I'm totally calling myself out because they're terrified to change up their routine because they feel like they've got it under control. They're not super overweight. Maybe they're like at a medium weight. They've got it under control. And if they change anything up, they're
Yeah.
going to, it's like this fear, that we have going on. So,
Yeah, you have to unlearn. I mean, it's even things that we've picked up from our parents, like your mom, like, brought you on to doing Weight Watchers so young. And it's just things that we've picked up over time, even if we've never done any diets like that. It's just society and like what's kind of, put into us. So there's a lot of unlearning to do, because it has been for decades of work out more, eat less. And that's just so not right. And for some people, yes, you'll see the immediate weight loss initially, but you also have to think not just short-term, but like long-term goals of making sure that you're keeping your metabolism up. Because guess what? Yeah, your metabolism's dipping, it's meeting you where you're at, but then you're going to feel that struggle 5 years down the road of like, why can't I lose weight anymore? And because that's not just a sustainable option. So I'm glad that you brought it up because I think it's natural to kind of struggle with that, like unlearning of what you knew and like realizing that you need to nourish your body and eat more. And it's not always comfortable. It's very uncomfortable sometimes.
yeah, but it's fun. And like I said, like, I don't feel in a box with macros. I feel like I can eat what I want and just balance it during the day. If I know I'm going to have like one day this week, I'm getting ramen while I'm out here. I am getting ramen. I want a bowl of ramen. So and that will be a ton of carbs. Okay. I'm fully aware. So earlier in the day, I'm going to make sure my lunch is a lighter carb lunch and my breakfast is kind of always all protein, but like, that way I'm just always, even though while I'm traveling, I can't measure it the way that control freak Whitney wants to measure it. I can at least mentally balance it out like that by saying, okay, if I'm going to eat a bowl of noodles tonight, then for lunch, maybe I'll do a salad,
for sure.
instead of, something like a sandwich.
Which I love. I don't know, I can't think of the name of it, but it's like the ramen cakes. And it's made of brown rice. So it's gluten-free.
Yep.
And it's from Whole Foods and I freaking love them so much. They're so good. I can't think of the name. I'll definitely put it in the show notes for the resources, but it's my favorite ramen ever. I always have them on hand in the kitchen.
Okay, so there's a whole other like angle to this story as well that we sort of touched on with the stomach stuff.
Yeah.
My stomach, I finally was like, I cannot live like this. Like, I think I'm lactose intolerant, whatever the case may be. So we have a functional medicine doctor that's one of our clients. I also have a friend that's a functional dietitian. And so we finally we did a blood test and we did a stool sample. So the blood test showed that and I had really low energy. This is pre-macros, y'all. This is probably like 4 or 5 years ago. The blood test showed that my thyroid was underactive, which I knew something was going on because my hair stopped growing. And I've always it's like one of my favorite traits of myself. I've always had really long, thick hair. Got it from my mom. Thanks, Mom. And my hair would like get to a certain length and it just started like thinning out and breaking off. And I was like, but also I was like 29-ish or 30. And so everyone's like, oh, it's just because your hormones are taking a turn. And I'm like, oh no, like my hair. Oh, it was due to my thyroid. So they tested that. They got me on thyroid medicine, which helped my energy big time. It also made my hair immediately start growing again. So that was great. So there was that, but then also in the stool sample, they were like, you're definitely not lactose intolerant. You are gluten intolerant, which is why your stomach is literally exploding every time you eat something because gluten is everywhere,
Yeah.
And so finally they were like, you're not like on the level of celiac, but you're not far from it. I also have a bunch of bacteria in my gut and stuff. And so and for anyone out there who doesn't know what functional medicine is, it's like kind of trying to get to the root of the cause rather than like, oh, here's a prescription. Now they are real MDs. They're not
Yeah.
like, they're not like a woo-woo doctor that went off to
Yeah.
India and got or a degree online. Like these people like went to the University of Alabama for med school and everything. So they're like full board certified physicians. So they can give you prescription. And if you need it, like with thyroid, they gave me a prescription, like they will, but usually they try to resolve things in other ways. So I took a bunch of like vitamins to help get all that gut out of my bacteria. And then I stopped eating gluten.
Nice.
For the most part. I will say, like, I'm not perfect with it. Every now and then, like, I really want that Domino's pizza on a cheat day. I'm going to get it. Now I'm going to pay for it. I also really love craft beer. Like a big fat IPA is like my favorite. I only want to drink like one, maybe two, because they're like so filling. But if I really want it, I'll drink it. But then I'm gonna probably get sick, or I won't sleep that night. So that was another thing. Like my sleep was all over the map. I was like pouring sweat every night during my sleep, and they're like, "Whitney, that's all gluten."
Yeah. I mean, that's why I tell people, like, if obviously you do you and you make that decision. If you know how you're going to feel the next day, is it worth it to you in the moment? And if it is, then go for it. And, don't be mad at yourself when you're in the bathroom the next day. But if it's not, then just don't do it. So I think that there's a lot of empowerment there, as long as like, what's going to happen. So I love that you have those times where you're like, yeah, it's worth it right now. And I'll deal with it later.
Yeah, I'm going to be at home all night by myself. It's fine, like, but also the not sleeping thing is like, again, like that, no, I can't do that. So,
I know.
But between like, getting on a healthier path with my macros, and I dropped pretty much all the processed foods. I can't think of anything processed that I really eat. Like on a daily basis, I kind of dropped all the processed foods. Getting better on my macros and actually eating, and then thyroid medicine and staying away from gluten. Like I feel amazing.
That's awesome.
I literally feel the best I've probably ever felt in my life. I'm 36. And I like legitimately, I just turned 36 a few weeks ago. And that one was a little hard for me because that's like the downhill slope of 30s, Earlier I was like, oh, it's fine. I'm in my early 30s. I'm in my mid 30s. And now I'm like, oh my God, like
40s are right around the corner. No, I'm just kidding. So
it's a hard one for me, but I was like, I legitimately feel like I get better with age. I really do.
I think that we can. I think it's very false that people, and I hear this too, 29 when people turn 30, like, oh, it's just because you're turning 30, you're getting older. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I know women that are like 70 and they're like way like healthier than most 20-year-olds, to be honest. So I don't think that aging has to be something so negative and that like you're just going to feel like crap and it's all down here from here. I definitely think we can go up. Obviously, there's some things with aging, especially with women, like menopause, sure, but I still think we can age so gracefully. Tell me a little bit more about your nighttime routine. Do you have anything that you do to maximize sleep? Do you anything from reading books for mindset? Like, what do you do as your nighttime routine?
I do read a little bit at night. There are several books, and they're usually like business related books, business mindset kind of stuff. I'll read a little bit. I honestly, like, sometimes I'll pop a melatonin if I feel like I need to, but I sleep like a rock. I sleep in a really cold, dark, like all blacked out room with a sound machine. And I will say I probably need to start going to bed earlier. My boyfriend's like a major night owl. So I'd probably say I sleep from like 11 to 6:30 every day.
Okay.
Something like that. But yeah, I mean, really, that's all, I'm not one of those people like that ever has a problem falling asleep. The moment my head hits the pillow, and sometimes I can't even stay up to read,
Yes.
The moment my head hits the pillow, it doesn't even matter if he's watching TV or YouTubing or whatever, like I'm asleep.
Tell me that's like honestly definitely a pet peeve with traveling is because of just I don't know, you never know how the AC is going to work. Is it going to go down? If you're in a hotel, it's going to kind of stuffy. Like, do you have anything? Because I know you travel a bit. So do you have anything that you like take with you to help with sleep outside of melatonin?
I have a special pillow actually that has
Oh,
really helped a lot. It's like a really and oddly a really firm Tempur-Pedic pillow.
hmm.
I couldn't bring it on this trip because I was like checking bags, but I'm telling you, there's something about this pillow. I've had it. I've had it probably like 10 to 15 years, and it's Tempur-Pedic, so it like never loses its shape. But the pillow to me is like
The
definitely
game.
it's like a security blanket for me. But
Nice.
my boyfriend actually has one that is like a little tiny version of it, and he puts it in
Okay.
the bag. But even last night was my first night here in Arizona, and it was a little challenging to sleep just because the bed's different and
Hmm.
I didn't have my special pillow. But as long as the room is dark and cold,
Cold.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you listen to Lewis Howes' podcast, but he did a podcast. It's been a while back about sleep, and he had like a sleep expert come on, and they talked about how important it is, like of a dark room for like
Mhm.
circadian rhythm reasons. And also like a cold room
Yeah.
actually helps because our
Yep.
bodies heat up at night.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It has to be cold. We turned down to 69, but for travel, I'll link it in the show notes. But I found a little travel fan because yeah, I definitely need, because there's no fan. No, there's no fan. And you just don't know how the AC is going to work. So I bring it and it's a USB plug-in. So I just plug it in and I just put it on my face and it's amazing. So it's like a must when I travel. I'm like, I have to bring it or I just cannot get good sleep. Because the room is so stuffy. If you're staying in a hotel and you can't open the window, it drives me nuts.
Oh my gosh, that's a good idea.
So I do bring the travel fan just to stay on top of my sleeping. I'll bring melatonin as well. I'm trying to think what else I bring. Yeah, I'm pretty like it's ridiculous. If we're driving, it's really ridiculous of what I bring to stay on routine. Like I'll even bring my freaking pans because I don't want to use their like Teflon pans at like the Airbnb if we're staying there. So air purifiers, you name it. Like I will bring if we're traveling, I will bring basically my whole house with me.
You are basically just like my boyfriend. He has the mini fan. He also brings a mini essential oil diffuser. I'm like, come
We
on.
do.
Oh my gosh. He has the oil diffuser, which I love it because he does like I get to reap all the benefits and he does all the packing. So
Exactly. So
unfortunately,
yes,
he's not here with me this week. So I have no essential oils. Thank God there's a fan in there, but
oh my gosh, that's funny. Yes, everyone that travels with me reaps the benefit. So while my husband complains, agreed with packing, it's a lot, but it's awesome to have. um, Tell us about the business books that you are reading, or even business books that you've read in the past that you've loved, and it's like really changed the game.
um one of them was the 4 hour work week was really, really strong. That just made me realize like how much time I waste doing little tiny things that I could outsource to somebody. And before
Mhm.
I thought I was being smart and saving money. And it's like, no, 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 you're actually being stupid. Like
Yep.
you're saving your time is the most valuable thing. 4 hour work week is a great book. Right now I'm reading a book called Scale or Fail. And it's actually by the woman, her name's Allison Maslin. That's the conference I'm here for this week.
Mhm.
The event's called Scale It. So that's what I'm reading right now, but it's all about like scaling your team, scaling operations, like how to create a business that doesn't revolve just around you,
Nice.
because that's not scalable. We're only
Yeah.
one human, you know what I mean? And there's only so many hours in the day. So that one's been a really good one. I started reading Atomic Habits, but I think that that book is probably better suited for someone who's not as rigid as I am. Because everything I was reading in there, I'm like, yeah, I already do that.
I didn't like the book either. And I don't know if it was a lot of just like really basic stuff, which is amazing. So I think again, if you're a beginner and like trying to create habits, it could be great. But for me, who's been doing like just routines and habits, I was a little bored with it.
Yeah.
I know some people love it, but I was a little bored with it.
It's probably more for people, like you said, like people who aren't like us that are like
Yeah.
very routine driven. Like I have no issue creating a habit. Let me just say
Yeah.
that. Or cutting one off. If I'm
Yeah.
like, this is bad for me, game over. So like
For
But I
sure.
think the book probably is good. Those are the two on my nightstand right now, Atomic Habits, because I just kind of like stopped reading it, and Scale or Fail. So yeah, but
Nice.
I mean, I love um, all of the books.
Do you have any like mindset apps or podcasts or anything that helps you kind of get in the right mindset?
I listen to, so I'm a Christian, so I listen to when I need like some Jesus hype in my life. I actually listen to
That
Joel.
every day.
Yeah, Joel Osteen's podcast is great. It is very uplifting. I've actually gotten several of my friends on it.
Nice.
It's just really great for like, he's kind of a motivational preacher. Some preachers are like shaking a finger at you. He's more of a motivational,
Yeah.
good preacher. Um, so I love Joel Osteen's. I like Lewis Howes. Lewis Howes has so many different types of people on that show. Like you're going to have like a Reiki specialist, and then you're going to have a sleep specialist, and then you're going to have a sex doctor, and then you're going to have like, it's just kind of all over the map, which I appreciate that. I have to give a shout out to two of my friends. Lori Harder has a podcast called Earn Your Happy. That's kind of business and mindset motivation. Um, they so Lori Harder's is great, Earn Your Happy, and then also Empower Her by Keisha Get Mary. Keisha is Kacia, and then Get Mary is Ghetmiri. Empower Her is her podcast. Keisha is like my opposite. She's a 7 on the Enneagram. She's like bouncing off the walls with like excitement and energy. And like the girl's got some serious energy. So she always like pumps me up. So it's definitely like a good mindset pump up. Like some of her episodes are called pep talk. So
Oh, I love that.
also, last but not least, at nighttime. So during the day, I listen to like educational mindset motivation stuff. But at nighttime, when I'm cooking, sometimes I'm like, my brain, like I've been working all day.
Mhm.
I just worked out. Like I can't absorb any more knowledge. I listen to Heather McMahon's Absolutely Not podcast. She's a comedian. She's around my age. She was a sorority girl at Ole Miss, so like Mississippi girl. She's actually from Atlanta, but she went to Ole Miss. Listening to her podcast is the highlight of my night while I'm
I
cooking.
love that.
It's hilarious. A
Okay,
little
awesome.
vulgar. If you're into like vulgar female comedy, she's hilarious.
I'm with you. By the end of the day, and sometimes depending, even in the morning, if I've just done so much in the week and I'm just like spent and I'm like, I can't listen to anything else like educational. I just need like music or just something really light. I'm with you. I'm like that too.
I think that's
Well,
okay. Sometimes I think that
yep.
we get into like,
Yeah.
we're absorbing content all day long. We're at work,
Yeah.
we're on podcasts, we're on social media. Like sometimes I think it's okay to just like
Yeah,
zone out and listen to something just fun.
for sure. Oh, I
Or
agree.
nothing at all. Nothing
Yeah.
was good too.
Please, let's normalize that. Is there, before we end it, is there any other morning routine things that you love to do to start your day? I know working out's really big for you and your food, it sounds really nourishing. Is there anything else in the morning you love to do?
I am very obsessed with my morning routine. So I get up, we have a gym in our house. I get up, I put on my clothes, usually athleisure if I'm working from home. But I go into our gym and just for like 15 minutes, I stretch. Even if it's just like bend over, touch your toes, like sit down in a pike position, touch your toes, or like spread your legs, go left, go right, do like a little mini back bend. It just helps my blood get flowing. And I like, sometimes I'll listen to a podcast while I do it, or sometimes I just like sit in silence and pray, meditate, think, whatever. And yeah, I love, and again, it's like 15 or 20 minutes. Then I go down, make my breakfast, come back up and sit at my desk. I love my desk area. It's like really bright, natural light. And like, I have like a really big desk with lots of room. I read my devotional. I write in one of those little books that's like one line a day,
Nice. Yeah.
So I write my memory from the day before, like something that stuck out to me from the day before. And then I pray for a few minutes, and then the computer goes on and
You get to work.
there you go. So
I love that.
I'm very protective of that little morning routine,
Me too. I definitely can feel it and I'm Christian too, so I can definitely feel it if I don't like put God first. It just feels like I go about my day so differently, and I'll even like think more negatively. Like it's just so vital for my mental health. So I'm with you.
Gotta get that Joel Osteen in there. There's no way you can have a bad day. And now my friend has her husband listening to it, and like it's like breaking out, but it will. It's so uplifting. So
I remember, actually, I don't anymore, but I remember listening to his podcast. What was it? Maybe 2010, 2011. And it was when I was still working. I was like still in school. And I was working at Aldi as a manager. And I remember we would get there really early to like unload the truck. And so as I was like stocking and stuff, I would listen to that. Like, and I just remember that I remember, yes, it's so good. It definitely is very uplifting, very motivational.
yes.
So share with us, where can we support you? Where can we find you? We'd love to hear more about where you're at.
Yeah. Okay. So me personally, or let's say this, if you want to find the agency and look up the PR agency, the name of the company is Sociallee. So our website is Be Sociallee. It's B as in boy, E as in egg, social, LEE. So it's like you spell the word socially, but with EE on the end instead of a Y. So besociallee.com. You can find me. I'd probably say the best place is Instagram or LinkedIn. So Instagram is the Whitney Lee, THE, Whitney Lee. And then on LinkedIn, you can just look me up under Whitney Lee. But I would love to connect with y'all. And actually, I have a podcast of my own. It's all about marketing, PR, social media. So for anybody out there, if you're, if you're in the marketing PR space, or B, if you own your own business, I try to make it like super cool and approachable, not like this geeky, techie, like some of the marketing podcasts I listen to. I'm like, okay, I'm in this industry and I'm bored, like all this tech talk. So like, I try to make it very conversational and like easy to understand for people who aren't in the space. So for anybody out there, if you have a business or something, there's probably some good info on there for you, hopefully.
Awesome. And what's the name of it?
It's called Socially Relevant.
Okay,
so
cool.
Socially, like the name of my business with the EE and then relevant.
So perfect. Awesome. And we'll end with a couple of questions in the lightning round. So you just choose either or. All right. So number one, book or Audible, like a physical book or an Audible?
Oh, so both, but right now probably Audible because I'm on the go so much.
Okay. Breakfast or dinner? Is that breakfast because you like eggs?
I don't know. I like to eat. So I'm like, can I choose both again? I'll say dinner.
Okay. Horror movie or comedy?
Comedy. I don't like scary stuff.
Me either. Cold weather or warm weather?
Gosh. I'm going to say warm. Cold is nice every now and then, but like being too cold is miserable.
Yeah. And then last but not least, hot coffee or iced coffee?
Oh, iced.
Okay, awesome.
I balance. I think like right now I'm drinking ice, but as soon as the weather turns in Destin and it starts getting cooler, I drink hot. So
nice. Yeah. Awesome. Well, it's so nice to meet you, Whitney. Thanks for coming on.
Yes. Thanks for having me.